You finally got the raise. The number in your account went up. So why do you still feel broke? Think back to your college days. Ramen noodles for dinner. Again. You were broke, but somehow life felt lighter. Then came your first job, your first apartment, your first car. Each one felt like an arrival, like you had finally made it. But somewhere along the way, that feeling quietly disappeared. The bank balance grew, the peace of mind didn't. And that's the strange part. You earn more than you used to, you own more than you used to, yet somehow you still feel like you're behind. Something doesn't add up, and the reason has less to do with your paycheck than you think. Here's what nobody tells you about money. Your brain adapts to it. Psychologists call this hedonic adaptation. At first, the extra money feels incredible. Suddenly, things you couldn't afford before become possible. You upgrade something, and for a while, it feels like you've moved forward. But then, something strange happens. The thing that once felt special starts feeling normal. The new apartment becomes just your apartment. The new car becomes just your car. The higher salary becomes just your salary. And your brain quietly moves the goalposts. What once looked like success now looks like the minimum. This doesn't mean money doesn't matter. More income can absolutely improve your life, especially when it helps meet important needs. The problem begins when every improvement becomes your new normal. You keep climbing, but the feeling of arriving keeps disappearing. But your brain isn't the only thing that adapts. Your spending adapts too. You get the new job, then comes the nicer apartment, a slightly higher salary, and somehow a slightly nicer car. Then a better phone, then better clothes, then more restaurants. None of these decisions feels huge. That's what makes lifestyle inflation so dangerous. It rarely arrives as one massive mistake. It arrives one upgrade at a time. One subscription, one delivery order, one premium upgrade, one monthly payment you barely think about anymore. Individually, they don't look like much, but together, they can quietly absorb the raise you worked so hard to get. And that's the trap. You don't necessarily feel richer. You just get used to spending more. There's another idea that helps explain what happens next. It's called Parkinson's law. Originally, it had nothing to do with money. It was about time. The basic idea is simple. Work tends to expand to fill the time available for it. Give yourself a week to finish something, and somehow it takes the whole week. Give yourself one day, and suddenly you're capable of finishing it. Now think about what happens when your income increases. You suddenly have more financial space, and that space doesn't always stay empty. A little more spending finds its way in, then a little more. Then, eventually, the extra room is gone. Your expenses have expanded to meet your new income. Not because you consciously decided to waste every extra dollar. It's because unused financial space creates opportunities to spend. And once that spending becomes normal, the money you once thought would make you comfortable becomes the money you now need just to maintain your comfort. But there's another force quietly changing what enough means. Everyone around you is upgrading too. Your friend gets a new car. Your coworker posts a luxury vacation. Someone you barely know buys a bigger house. And suddenly your perfectly good life feels smaller. Yesterday you felt successful. Today you feel behind. This is where social comparison enters the picture. Psychologists have studied this for decades. Social comparison theory explains that we often evaluate ourselves by looking at other people, especially when there's no clear standard for what successful looks like, and money is one of the easiest things to compare. So your reference point keeps changing. You don't ask, "Am I doing okay?" You ask, "Am I doing okay compared to them?" And social media makes this comparison almost impossible to escape. Because you're seeing everyone's highlights, but almost none of their ordinary days. You're comparing your entire life to everyone else's highlight reel. And even when you know all of this, there's another trap hiding inside your own brain. It's called mental accounting. Your brain doesn't always treat every dollar the same. It gives money different meanings depending on where it came from. Your regular paycheck feels responsible. A bonus can feel like a reward. A cash gift can feel like free money. And suddenly, the rules change. You might protect your paycheck, but spend a bonus without thinking twice. Economically, the money is still money, but psychologically, you've given each dollar a different story, and those stories influence what you do with it. That's why unexpected money can feel easier to spend. A refund can feel like money that came from nowhere, even though financially it's still part of your own money. The label changes the feeling, and the feeling can change the decision. That's the quiet power of mental accounting. You don't just spend money, you spend the meaning you've attached to it. Now, here's the part that makes saving feel so difficult. It's called loss aversion. Your brain doesn't always judge gains and losses equally. A loss can feel heavier than an equivalent gain. And this matters when you try to save, because saving means giving up something you can spend today. You see the money leaving your available balance, and your brain can interpret that drop as a loss, even though the money isn't actually gone. It's still yours, but you can't spend it as easily, and that restriction can feel uncomfortable. Spending, on the other hand, gives you something immediately: a meal, a new gadget, a night out with friends. The reward is right there. Saving asks you to trade that feeling today for a benefit later. So you tell yourself, I'll start next month. But next month arrives, and spending still feels more rewarding today. So if more money doesn't fix the feeling of being broke, what actually does? Maybe the answer isn't another raise. Maybe it's understanding what happens after the raise. Because your brain adapts, your lifestyle expands, your reference points change, and your money starts carrying different meanings. None of these forces asks for your permission. They simply become part of the pattern. The upgrades, the comparisons, the mental shortcuts, the quiet resets your brain keeps making without asking you first. But here's the important part. Awareness doesn't erase the wiring. It gives you a chance to notice it. And once you can see the pattern, you can choose whether to keep following it. So maybe the real question isn't, how do I earn more? Maybe it's, what if I stopped needing more to finally feel like enough? If this video made you rethink what enough really means, don't just scroll to the next video. Subscribe, because sometimes the thing keeping you stuck isn't your income. It's the way your brain keeps moving the finish line. And once you understand that, you can finally start changing the game.